They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis. But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it.
Sunny Hostin just suffered an emotional blackout, like Wi-Fi in a cave. Completely gone after Charlie Kirk and Joe Rogan tag-teamed her pride into dust. Tears, yes. Confusion, without a doubt. The breakdown was so over the top, even soap operas looked tame. But what exactly did they say that melted Sunny into a puddle of pure regret? Get ready, because this takedown was so brutal, even her teleprompter needed therapy. You won't believe how wild it really got.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach.
Sunny Hostin was cruising through another week of televised self-congratulation until the universe slammed her with a cosmic 1-2 punch. On the political side came Charlie Kirk, the Gen Z whisperer in a blazer, packing charts and more caffeine than a college student at finals. On the cultural side, Joe Rogan, the podcast king himself, effortlessly tearing apart her media image between chats about elk meat and UFOs.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge. And on that bridge, they'll see RFK. They'll see Elon Musk.
She never saw it coming, mostly because she was too busy delivering a dramatic monologue to a clapping audience that treats echo chambers like community service. First came the opening blow, Charlie Kirk's data bomb. It's always wild when someone pauses their campus tour, complete with 3 protesters and a blue-haired dog, to intellectually demolish someone on national TV without even being in the room.
The final point I'll say is this, is Sunny, you guys thought that abortion was going to be this like quasi-zealot religious issue. I'm pro-life. If people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying though, what gives me promise, and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people were like, yeah, actually, these other 6 things matter more.
Charlie Kirk, never one to hold back what anyone with an economics degree and common sense already knows. Expose the elite media's disconnect with all the grace of a wrecking ball. And who better to embody that grand temple of out-of-touch takes than Sunny Hostin, the high priestess of performative progressivism?
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things I mean, it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
Charlie didn't even need to say her name. He simply unpacked the luxury luggage of bad takes that ride first class on The View. The usual lines like voter suppression is everywhere, conservatives hate minorities, or the fan favorite, Republicans want to rewind to 1952. And then he did what no studio crowd dares to do. He brought receipts, real data, the kind that bounced right off Sonny's opinions like Nerf darts hitting a brick wall, numbers that proved minority voters are shifting conservative because, surprise, they don't like being talked down to by millionaires pretending to understand grocery prices. Charlie didn't stop there. He exposed the absurdity of millionaire TV hosts preaching about oppression from Manhattan balconies while sipping almond milk lattes and claiming the system is rigged. Rigged? The only thing rigged is that glowing applause sign blinking on cue. And then he dropped the elitism bomb. Sonny, seated comfortably in the velvet throne of media privilege, unintentionally became the face of pundits who think having a producer in your ear turns you into a prophet. Charlie made it crystal clear. These hosts keep confusing their wealth for wisdom. It's like taking financial advice from someone who thinks Whole Foods is a budget store.
And the nerve of this woman to whom the country has given so much to try to dump on people who didn't go to college. Look at you. Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sonny?
Yeah, and again, by the way, rarely do you get the answer to a question in the question. And her whole question is exactly why there was a rebellion against them.
Yes.
Listen, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. I always differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. I mean, it's or about North African lesbian poetry. Okay, that's fine, I guess.
And while Charlie Kirk's takedown was sharp, calculated, almost clinical, it hit exactly where it hurt most. Not her character, not her wardrobe, not even her intellect, but her credibility. That fragile illusion that Sonny's brand of politics somehow connects to real life was shattered. If this had been a boxing match, the ref would have tossed in the towel. But that was only round one. Enter Joe Rogan, the cultural barroom bouncer of America. Rogan didn't show up in a crisp suit or armed with pie charts. No, he stepped into the ring like it was the cultural octagon, shirt probably optional, armed with two brutal weapons. Clarity and casual destruction, his weapon of choice, common sense. And in the elite media bubble Sonny floats through, that's practically contraband. Joe didn't need footnotes or folders. His takedown came wrapped in chuckles and calm sarcasm. While Charlie tore down the ideology, Rogan torched the medium itself, especially the talk shows that wear the mask of serious journalism but act more like echo chamber therapy for people terrified of self-awareness. He exposed the media's obsession with virtue signaling, like someone pointing out not only is the emperor naked, but he's hosting a panel about swimsuit ethics.
The episode of you when you were on The View, when you were running for president, you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. And then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
That red hat that says "Make America Great Again." Might as well just put a sticker on the hat.
Rogan, with his classic mix of gym locker room wisdom and laid-back podcast philosopher vibe, asked the question nobody in Sonny's world dares to touch. How did these media elites become the gatekeepers of culture in the first place? While Sonny's out here clutching pearls over the latest hashtag, Rogan was busy dismantling the foundation of her entire brand. He exposed her for what she's become, a host who turns every topic into a mirror, pretending to speak for the masses while really just echoing herself. He drew a sharp contrast. His conversations are with people who've faced real struggles, made impossible choices, and didn't clear their thoughts with a PR agent first. The comparison was devastating. On one side, a media class that treats pain, poverty, and politics like they're part of a theme park attraction, and on the other, voices grounded in experience, honesty, and yes, even laughter at how ridiculous it's all become. And just like Kirk, Rogan never said her name, but that's the mark of a roast so sharp, so perfectly aimed, the target flinches without even being called out. He described talk shows as elite echo chambers, places where real life goes to die under a mountain of polished sound bites and scripted outrage. Where Kirk used facts and figures, Rogan used pure satire. While Charlie brought the truth, Joe brought the absurdity. And in the end, the effect was the same. Sonny, whose whole on-air power comes from never being challenged, suddenly looked like a flimsy extra in a comedy sketch about fake news.
Talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this, and as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it, but we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah.
Now this is where it turned downright poetic. Two men, totally different in tone, style, and energy, accidentally synced up like a lunar eclipse of pure reckoning. Neither knew the other was coming, but together they unraveled a narrative that had been polished, packaged, and sold to the public for years. Charlie Kirk brought the PowerPoint, Joe Rogan brought the punchlines, and together they didn't just challenge Sunny Hostin's credibility, they burned the set, flipped the couch, and left the studio like they owned the place. No Uber needed. Then came the internet. Oh, the beautifully savage internet. When a TV host's worldview gets wrecked from both the academic stage and the podcast mic, the memes don't just appear, they explode. Reaction videos popped up faster than celebrity apologies. Twitter threads compared Kirk's clip to a doctoral thesis and Rogan's to a full-on roast battle. TikTokers started reenacting the entire takedown like it was Shakespeare in sweatpants. Sunny stayed silent because what do you even say when two people dismantle your brand without ever saying your name? This wasn't a conversation. This wasn't a debate. This was a full-blown cosmic audit, and the receipts? They did not work in her favor. Even her defenders struggled to spin it because the hits weren't cheap shots. They weren't about her style or delivery. They were about the substance, or glaring lack of it, behind a career built on network-funded righteousness.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View.
Meanwhile, Charlie's clip is now being played in high school debate clubs as the gold standard for dismantling an argument, calmly, surgically, without even raising his voice. Joe's podcast segment, it's hit replay numbers so high, Spotify execs are probably fist-pumping in boardrooms. And Sunny? Oh, she's trending, but not in the way anyone wants. More like the please someone change the subject before we get a sequel trending. It's rare when political precision and cultural instinct align so perfectly to obliterate a single narrative. Rarer still when it's done with no venom, no confrontation, and without even saying her name. Charlie Kirk and Joe Rogan didn't destroy Sunny Hostin by calling her out. They destroyed her by calling out everything she stands for. A world where scripted talking points replace critical thinking and audience applause gets mistaken for actual reality. They didn't just poke holes. They ripped off the glittery wallpaper and revealed the echo chamber underneath, bloated with delusions of moral superiority. And in doing so, they didn't just shatter a TV image, they exposed an entire class of pundits whose biggest qualification is sitting on the right set at the right time, with the right outrage ready to go. Same target, different tactics. It was like sending a drone and a sledgehammer to the same address and leveling the whole structure at once.
You get people thinking, if you could stop Hitler by any means necessary, wouldn't you stop Hitler? And so they equate Donald Trump with Hitler and go, here you go, this is our modern Hitler. Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because It's so
On TV.
crazy.
She said it's
on television.
Charlie Kirk arrived in his signature style, navy blazer, sharp haircut, and that confident air of a guy who's memorized the Constitution down to the obscure footnotes. His delivery, all precision and policy, no wild swings, just a strategic takedown of everything Sunny Hostin built her persona on. Staged outrage, elite detachment, and a TED Talk level overestimation of her own relevance. And the best part, he never said her name once. That's the brilliance of it. Kirk's political sniper fire cut through her ideology like it was cobbled together from old View scripts. Then, cue the fog and open the cage. Joe Rogan stormed in. No script, no slides, just a podcast king with the chaotic energy of a gym teacher who moonlights as a conspiracy analyst. While Kirk mapped out the logic, Rogan kicked down the door with a beer in one hand and a sarcastic "you believe this nonsense" in the other. Rogan didn't bring stats, he brought the vibe check. He wasn't there to debate Sunny Hostin, he was there to highlight just how absurd it is that people like her still think they're being taken seriously. Where Kirk brought the spreadsheets, Rogan delivered the collective eye roll of middle America, and every Uber driver who's ever shouted at NPR from behind the wheel.
I mean, The View has to be, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
So what happens now? Nothing loud. Sunny will keep pretending it never happened. The applause sign will keep blinking. The coffee mugs will keep steaming. But something's different now. Because once Kirk and Rogan pulled that curtain back, it didn't close again. The internet saw the fall, and they archived it. The memes, the clips, the split screen edits. It's all saved, ready to replay every time someone blurts, but she makes good points. There's no need for a dramatic on-air breakdown. It already happened. Quiet, invisible, and complete. And it was delivered by two guys who don't agree on much, except apparently on the tragic comedy of Sunny Hostin's fake televised enlightenment tours. One day she's the moral voice of daytime TV, and the next, she's the shared punchline in a bi-coastal demolition of delusion.